Chapter 1. In the noisy bar, Suanan remembered that she had to pick up a bunch of Suzihan before she left. At the end, with her head spinning, she relied on her alcohol and courage to accept her good friend Fuxin's bet. Anan, go up if there's a man at the door. And if it's a woman, I'll go up. If you want to kiss his mouth, do you dare to play? With the smell of alcohol, Fuxin shouted. A bet is a bet. Who is afraid of who? Suanan replied. She wanted to know if there were any male or female customers in this pub, so she wouldn't agree to Fuxin's bored playing games. Indeed, a man walked in through the dark door. Suanan sat in a position where she could not see the man's face clearly from the reflection of the light, nor did she know what she looked like. Since Anan had gambled, it didn't matter if he was ugly or not. Under Fuxin's urging, Suanan could only rely on her alcohol tolerance. Come. Suanan quickly went up to stop the man's direction. She raised her head and saw the man's beautiful lips. Let's kiss. As she shouted, she stood on her tiptoe and kissed the man. Whatever he looked like, his lips looked good. Just then, Suanan was pushed away by the man. Scram! The man's voice was cold and stern, carrying a thick unhappiness. Suanan's midriff, miniskirt, and alluring thick makeup clearly showed that he considered her as a dishonest woman. Suanan was pushed back, and then she took a step further back to stabilize herself. She kissed him, and when she thought about it, she smiled and raised her eyebrows at the man before turning around to look at her face. It was a beautiful face, as if it had been carved by someone. It did not have the slightest flaw, and it was perfect. He looked up at her with deep eyes filled with anger. A man was good-looking, but why did he look so familiar? Old. Just when she was about to say male, Suanan blurted out. Husband. Yes, that was the word she wanted to use. Wasn't the man with the cold face in front of her belonged to her mysterious newlywed husband? If she hadn't seen him, she would have forgotten that she was a woman. Most of all, she recognized him, and he frowned at her once more and walked away. He didn't recognize her. That was true. Half a month after she was sent to the Gu family, the number of times she had met with him had been counted on her fingers. Furthermore, every time they had met, it had been on the bed. After turning off the light, she took off her clothes. As she put on her clothes and put on makeup, Gu Mochang naturally did not recognize her. Fortunately, he didn't recognize her. As Suanan was thinking, she had already abandoned Fuxin and ran out of the pub. She did not dare to stay there any longer, although Gu Mochang did not recognize her at that moment, and could not guarantee that he would remember. Gu Mochang, the Gu family's ruler, was 31 years old. In the outside world, it was rumored that Gu Mochang was cold and ruthless, not good for women. Coldness, ruthlessness, unhappiness, anger, and uncertainty, Suanan admitted it. Not a good girl. They had been married for half a month, and they had only met twice. Each time, his goal was for her to sleep. Therefore, Suanan was not clear about how other people passed down the knowledge of him being bad to women. If not for this, she wouldn't have married Gu Mochang. On the way back, Suanan took out a mirror and undressed in a taxi. At the same time, she used her earphones to explain to Fuxin. A phone call came in before the call was made. Madam! It was the butler from Gu Mansion. Uncle Chen, I just finished my homework at my classmate's house and will be home very soon. Suanan lied without batting an eyelid. Mr. will be back in half an hour. He told you to prepare.